So, right now, I'm going to read from part of one of my books, Angels and Outlaws. It is related to my most popular series, School for Spirits, yet almost no one read this book. I may make some mistakes while reading, but this is an ASMR video and not an official audiobook, so I will do my best, but there could be errors here and there. Okay. Chapter 1. Archangel Sarakel drove her sword into the demon's formless black body until she heard a pop. When she withdrew her blade, the creature erupted in a cloud of dust. She covered her eyes, shielding them from the explosion of swirling particles. How many times had she been temporarily blinded by a demon's disintegrating body? She didn't want to risk her eyesight in the blast. "You always have such messy kills, Sarah," Jehudiel criticized her. He was one of 2 archangels who had accompanied her on a mission to stop an influx of demonic activity. "How many are you up to now?" 3, no, 4, Sarakel corrected herself, when she remembered the small, snake-like demon that nearly sank its fangs into her. "How many have you got?" 5, Jehudiel proudly announced as he pierced the belly of a shrieking harpy. Her wings wilted, her body dissolved until there was nothing left of her. "This isn't a competition," Archangel Ariel, the last in their group, reminded them. "However, if it was a competition, neither of you would be able to keep up with me." A shockwave shot from the prongs of Ariel's glowing trident, blowing apart 3 demons in her path. Sarakel grumbled at both of her companions' answers. She was the youngest archangel, and arguably the least experienced. But she was Michael's latest favorite. If she wanted to remain the favorite, she needed to perform better. With a shudder of her lavender-white wings, she leapt into an amorphous demon that was attacking Jehudiel's flank. It was reduced to dust by a single swing of her sword. Oblivious to her rescue, Jehudiel spun around and sliced another darkling that was creeping up behind him. The shapeless creature's head bobbed up and down, avoiding the archangel's furious slashes. He ended their dance with a well-timed lunge to its midsection. The demons had many names: darklings, shadowlings. Others were referred to by their specific types, like harpies or incubi. Sarakel's least favorites were the ones shaped like spiders. Their venom burned, and they were always catching her by surprise. She yelped like a frightened puppy when she felt the set of spindly, tickling legs creeping across her nape. She shook it off, but not before taking a fang to the neck. "What happened, Sarah?" Ariel asked. "Let me guess, spider?" Sarakel stroked the burning bump on the back of her neck. Both of her friends chuckled at her misery, but her panic was very real. "Kill it," she begged Jehudiel. "There it is. It's on the ground, right there." Jehudiel crushed the scattering spider beneath his boot and said, "There, are you happy now?" Assuming he killed the last one, he sheathed his sword and sighed. Sarakel knew better. She was Archangel Michael's favorite for a reason. Her ability to sense darkness made her an invaluable member of any team. She could feel the presence of demons, and she could hear the thoughts of wicked humans. No creature with evil intentions could hide from her. "Don't get comfortable yet, you two. There are more nearby," Sarakel informed her friends. "A lot more." Ariel glanced down both sides of the bustling, dusty road. It was teeming with well-dressed men and women going about their day's business. The angels could see every passing stagecoach, but no one could see them. Occasionally, a horse's gaze would flick in their direction, but they were invisible to humans as long as they had their wings. "I don't see any demons," Ariel said. "There are a mass of them behind the saloon," Sarakel told them. "I can sense 20 or more, the big ones, too. We should be on our guard." Sarakel led her team in the direction of the town's only saloon, the Rusty Spur. There they encountered over a dozen Revenant-class demons, more feared than any type. Unlike most demons, they were sentient. They could think for themselves and wield weapons, mostly swords and scythes. Revenants were wicked humans who had passed on to the other side. They were souls enslaved by darkness. Sarakel could feel her insides churning as she faced the horde. She charged a pair of faceless revenants who simultaneously swung their scythes as if their minds were connected. She ducked the curved blades and countered with a kick. As one demon stumbled backward from the blow, she ran the second one through. "Be careful, Sarah. Don't do anything too reckless," Jehudiel said. "The last time I took on a horde of this size, it didn't end well for me." Jehudiel covered her back as she challenged the second demon. He crossed swords with a robed, shrieking revenant who tried to attack her from behind. As Sarakel knocked away her opponent's scythe, she glanced around for Ariel. The third member of their team was missing, and they desperately needed her. They would soon be overwhelmed. "Where's Ariel?" Sarakel shouted the question to her only remaining companion. She sliced her revenant through the stomach, spilling entrails as black as tar. As one demon went down, 3 more closed in on her. "I don't know. I don't see her, but look." Jehudiel directed her attention to a pair of humans emerging from the saloon. Revenants had attached themselves to both men, who were quarreling over a girl. "The demons are making them lose their minds." "The demons are partly to blame, but the males of the species tend to overreact on their own, especially when a girl is involved," Sarakel said. "Even if you sever the Revenant's ties to him, the men will continue to fight, I guarantee it." She leaned back, dodging an incoming scythe. The blade came so close to cutting her, she could hear the hum of metal whizzing past her ear. Jehudiel charged at the possessed humans and tried to free them from their bonds. A wispy dark cord connected the revenants to their human hosts. The demons leached off their energy and imbued the humans' egos with rage and pride. Jehudiel swung his sword and severed the cord. As Sarakel predicted, the fisticuffs continued. "Just let them fight it out and focus on the demons," Sarakel advised her friend. "And again, where is Ariel? We need her." Before he could answer, Jehudiel was chopped in the back with an axe. It was an unusual weapon for a revenant. Smoke hissed from the blade as it cleaved him. The axe had a faint violet glow, and it sent the archangel to his knees. "Jehudiel!" Sarakel cried, but she couldn't reach her companion in time. 3 scythes sliced into him at once, and he fell face down, unconscious. When the demon with the violet axe came after her, Sarah retreated. There were too many to take on at once. "Ariel!" she called to her other friend for backup, but no one came to her aid. Sarah's hands shook as she studied the limp body of her fallen companion. Jehudiel wouldn't die. Archangels were immune to death, but he would need time to recover from his wounds. To give him the time he needed, she had to distract the revenants that swarmed around him. She had to make her look like the most appealing prey. Sarakel whistled at the demons. When she had their attention, she let them chase her back to the main road, where she hoped to take them on one at a time. She thought she would pass Ariel along the way, but her friend's absence persisted. Had she abandoned them? Sarah glanced over her shoulder and counted the hooded heads trailing behind her. There were at least 10 demons chasing her, and they were faster than she was. She tried to take flight, to use her wings, but didn't get far. She felt a scythe tear through cartilage and feather, disabling her in a single blow. "Ah!" Sarah screamed as the second scythe tore into her flesh. Suddenly, she was the one who needed to be saved. She was on the ground, surrounded on every side by cloaked, dark figures. She tried to protect her head as their scythes and swords came down on her. She felt the bite of metal slicing her skin, drawing her silver blood. "I'll heal," she reminded herself. "I always heal quickly." However, the demons she faced were far from ordinary. She saw a violet blur in the corner of her eye as an axe swung down on her. The revenant lopped off one of her wings and tossed it aside. "They grow back," she tried to tell herself. She didn't want to panic. It would be days, possibly weeks, but they always came back. Her powers would be weak while they regrew, but they would grow back. As they lopped off her second wing, Sarah winced from the pain. As blood flowed from her body, it felt hot, like molten lava. She clapped a hand over her mouth, forcing herself to suppress a scream. The longer she screamed, the more they would torture her. She made herself stay quiet until they lost interest and fled. The demons scattered throughout the town in search of newer prey. The demons' next targets would be humans. In her mind, Sarah cursed herself for being unable to perform her duty. Archangel Michael was relying on her team to cleanse the area, but they had failed, utterly. And where was Ariel? Sarah felt betrayed and abandoned. She crawled back to the rusty spur and searched for Jehudiel, but he was missing too. Only traces of his blood remained, and shouting his name didn't help. Both of her comrades were gone. Without her wings and without a friend to take her, Serkel had no way to return home. She laid on the ground, groaning, and as she bellowed, she made eye contact with a human in front of the saloon. She assumed he would see her. She lost her wings, lost her power, and lost her ability to hide from mortals. Until she recovered, she was visible to everyone. The human removed the cigarette from his mouth and asked her, "Are you all right, miss?" "I'm fine." Sarah looked down on her hands, which were slick with silver blood. In his eyes, it would look red. "You sure? You ain't looking all right to me," the man said. "That looks like a deep wound you got there." "I'll live," Sarah insisted as she climbed to her feet. She must have looked like a mess, but she staggered into the saloon, collapsed into a chair, and ordered a drink. It had been years since she was visible to humans, and it had been years since she had whiskey. Normally, the mortal's drinks had no effect on her, but in her diminished state, they went straight to her head. She wanted to get drunk, dull her pain, and forget about her friends and responsibilities. "Michael will be so disappointed in me," she whispered to herself. How could she remain a favorite when she had failed so miserably? As she downed a shot of whiskey, a young saloon girl stopped at her table and asked, "Do you need a doctor, ma'am?" "No," Sarah answered curtly. "Are you sure? You're bleeding. No," Sarah repeated. "Leave me alone, please." She didn't want to be rude, but she didn't need a doctor. Most of her wounds would heal within a few minutes. Her wings would take much longer. What was she supposed to do while stuck in the mortal realm? Get a job? Make friends? Sarah never had a human friend in her life. She heard gunfire in the distance, so she poured herself another shot. The violence didn't surprise her. Even without the revenant's influence, humans were a hateful species. Make friends. Sarah chuckled to herself as she whispered the thought aloud. As if I could ever do that. Humans are the worst. And that is the end of chapter 1. If anyone, even one person out there, would like me to continue the story, I will probably read chapter 2, but I have no viewers at the moment, and sadly, not really any readers, so I expect no one to want it, and in which case I will just probably move on to making other different sorts of ASMR videos, which I have been doing. Hopefully you found this relaxing, and hopefully you'll think about subscribing. If you actually got to the end of this, I salute you if you did, and thank you so much.